was also pretty cool to see the 5090 die up close and just kind of geek out for a bit, because it has this really cool gasket that surrounds the GPU. There's like 3 gasket barriers to protect the liquid metal from degradation and from like spilling onto the circuitry, and it seems to be doing a pretty good job because the liquid metal that was on there originally looked brand new. I actually bought these from AliExpress. They're from Bixby. They took about a month to arrive. They also arrived a little bit scratched on this mirror plate on the front here, but yeah, overall still really happy with how they look, and I cannot wait to get these fired up. So with the water blocks installed, it was time to get everything mounted in the case, hooked up, and ready for some water cooling madness. But this is where I hit a major roadblock. The case that I used for this build wasn't exactly cooperating with what I had planned. I had an assortment of 360mm radiators ready, but they barely fit, and also there was no way to properly mount one to the bottom. I had this epic plan. This build was going to have a ton of cooling, it was going to look dense and insane, but that's not where things were heading. It's definitely not Fantex's fault. This case is really nice if you want to build something similar to my initial air-cooled build, but extreme liquid cooling, yeah, that's not happening. So I gave up and got myself a new Apple Mac Pro. I'm just kidding. This is actually a PC case. It's the Apollo X from MacPro. I've had this case sitting around for about a year now, and I've been waiting for something really epic to do with it, and I think now is the perfect time. It looks like an Apple Mac Pro from every angle, and I'm not talking like fake cheap Mac Pro. I mean, look at this thing, even up close. The anodizing and the quality are really close to what you would get from Apple. This cheese grater CNC front panel as well, I think looks incredible. I know it's like the fake PC version, but hey, it's pretty close to what Apple's putting out as far as I can see. These chrome handles as well run through the entire case, just like the real thing. It is actually a bit more compact than the Fantex case that I was using for air cooling, but somehow it fits my EATX Threadripper board no problem at all. And before I swapped over to this thing, I had to make sure that it would be suitable for extreme liquid cooling in terms of how much radiator volume you could fit in here. So I got out the measuring tape just to make sure, and turns out you can fit quite a bit in here. This is AlphaCool's 360mm monster, and it comes in at 86mm thick. For reference, your typical AIO has a radiator thickness of 27 to 28mm, so this is like 3 of those stacked together. The fin density though, on the other hand, is pretty low. Apparently performance on this is best in a push-pull setup with lower fan speeds, so I'll keep that in mind once we get this up and running. For the fans, I've gone with the P12 Pros from Arctic. I haven't used these before, but if it's anything like their other stuff, the airflow and the noise should be really good. Fitting in that massive front radiator though was definitely a challenge. I had done the measurements, I knew it would fit, but I had to put the build upside down to prevent scratching anything, and I also had to go with slim fans on the rear, otherwise it was actually blocking the motherboard 24 pin. With slim fans though, it's basically as perfect as the clearance can possibly get, so no complaints there, and the cooling should hopefully still be really insane. And believe it or not, there's still room at the bottom for a 240. We can't go as thick for this one as we've got that bottom GPU to think about, but this extra rad should help lower things by a few extra degrees at least. And then just a couple extra 80mm fans from Noctua running in the rear as exhaust to just help out those 5090s a little bit more. They need as much cooling as they can get. Now, the build was really getting somewhere, and actually, I realized I could fit a lot more in this compact mid-tower than I thought. But there's one more part that we need. And it's this, the pump and reservoir. And the one I've gone with here is this insanely clean Uni 240D from Steelkey with an Apex D5 pump from AlphaCool. This is not only going to pump coolant throughout the entire loop, but it serves as a nice distribution block as well and a tank for some spare liquid. The problem though is finding somewhere to mount it. We don't exactly have much space left over. Luckily though, before I installed any of the parts, I actually 3D scanned the interior of the case. That way I had an accurate reference to then create a quick 3D model in Fusion and then work on some custom mounting for this pump and res. I've actually done this exact thing a number of times in way smaller builds too, but this one was really tricky. The only empty space left in this entire build is in front of the motherboard, and this thing just barely fits between the front and rear fans. There's basically 5mm of clearance on either side. Making things worse, the mounting points on this pump res are behind it, so I can't exactly just, fit it in and screw it in. I need to make something that was hidden and clean and also toolless and secure. After about an hour of playing around, I came up with this. It's a sliding rail